When Alan Shepard was strapped atop a Mercury Redstone rocket, about to become the first American launched into orbit, he had an open mic in his capsule, and he prayed. He said, "Dear Lord, please don't let me f this up." It's time for Joe Biden and his team to say the Alan Shepard prayer, because a great deal is on the line. 132 days from today, the last votes will be cast for the U.S. presidential election. It is June 26th, and it is the eve of the great debate. This is the warning. Donald Trump is getting ready. He's warming up. He's answering the tough questions, like this from one of his henchmen, Kristi Lewandowski, the alleged paramour of this woman, South Dakota dog killer Kristi Noem, murderer of Cricket.
I hear that he's practicing standing for 90 minutes is his debate prep. A little different, I think, than what you're used to at some of the rallies you've participated in recently.
Well, if I have to practice standing, we have ourselves a big problem.
Kristi Noem, the alleged mistress of Kristi Lewandowski, who was last ousted from a Donald Trump organization after getting handsy with a MAGA donor's wife. Here are some of the headlines to refresh your memory. Now, Kristi Lewandowski has a long and fairly violent past with members of the American media. Let's look at some more headlines. Kristi Lewandowski is a type of proto-Stephen Miller, but because he's crazy, he can't work in the White House. But by some miracle, he's wound up hosting a Newsmax show. It's quite incredible, really. Note the chyron disclaiming the fact that Donald Trump is lying. It's why we put this chyron up for all of you. Newsmax is full of shit and absolutely lying to you almost all the time. It's so important to understand this is all a game to these people, a big con. And these people are weirdos. It's madness, all of it. It's show business for ratings. And millions of Americans have fallen for it because they've confused debate for nonsense. Reality television has consumed reality. And this is just a version of it, a more stupid version of the stupidity we see on Bravo. But this is bottom of the barrel stupid, and we should always appreciate it as such. Donald Trump says some interesting things in this interview. He says, for example, that if he loses the election, which he's made clear in many interviews in the past that is impossible because if he loses, it's rigged. But he predicts that if he loses, it will be the end of America, which is, of course, the basis and the justification for the extraordinary means to come should he lose.
If we don't win this election, we won't have a country left, Corey. We're not going to have a country, and you know that better than anybody.
How do you walk away from an existential fact? The country ends if I don't win. And elections are only fair after 9 years of Donald Trump in America if Trump wins, even though, like last night, all of his candidates lost in their primaries except for the loathsome and skanky Lauren Boebert. Good job, Colorado. Or should I say, good job, Colorado Republicans. It is incredible, beyond belief, really, that any group of people would either A, care so little about fucking anything, or B, conceivably be so inept that they would pick this woman who got caught giving a hand job to her date on a first date at the Beetlejuice performance, surrounded by children, as a member of the United States Congress. Good job, Colorado. But putting that aside for the moment, the debate is here, and I want to take you behind the scenes. On debate day, it's a long day, and there's a lot of tension, a lot of nervous energy, because the big event is building. It's at night, and usually the big event of the day, particularly if you're an octogenarian heading into it, isn't that late at night. But on this night, the main event comes after dark. Now, when you think about these debates and you think about the prep, the entourage will start to fall away over the course of the debate day. Everybody gets exposed. Now, what Joe Biden and Donald Trump share in common is that they're going to be walking out in front of an audience of tens and tens of millions of people into a fairly antiseptic TV studio where Jake Tapper will be, where Dana Besh will be, maybe a camera operator or two. But it will be a close set, it will be tight, and it will have the feeling at some level aesthetically of being in a fishbowl. There will be no audience for Trump to interact with, to connect with, to feed off of. And the same will be true for President Biden. Just the two men. And it's historic. The 45th and 46th president of the United States. Now, Donald Trump is always bullshit. Always. 100% of the time. And his ability to bullshit, to gaslight, suspends reality. Let's look at a vivid example from the Corey Lewandowski interview, where Donald Trump talks about he was a popular president. Well, let's put the scorecard up for you all to see. 45 men, including Biden, the 46th president, have ever been president of the United States. See how many have been turned out, defeated after one term. Trump is on that list. It's not the popular president list. It's the defeated president list. And it's a small number because mostly Americans give their presidents 8 years. Unless they get fired. And that's what happened to Trump. And that's why he attacked the peaceful transition of power. Because psychologically, he couldn't handle the fact that he is a loser. The core of the Trump attack against the president is that he's feeble, that he's senile, that he is wandering around in Normandy. It's a smear and a slur, but it is repeated nonstop. And the propaganda mechanisms of the MAGA extreme right are formidable. And each day they bury the Biden campaign in 120-foot waves of filth that heretofore the Biden campaign has not been able to handle at all. Here's the thing. If Joe Biden is to be a great president, then he must confront the worst president in American history in decisive terms, like FDR would and JFK would. And there can be no doubt about who has the superior vision, the superior message, who stands on the side of truth, justice, and the American way of life. That's President Biden. But will he be able to communicate it? And so the debate prep has given way to debate eve. And now it's time for reflection and study and last-minute preparation. Whomever that person is, I've been in their shoes many times in my career, where you take that walk to the edge of what will become history, this huge event, and you give the final advice. Many times I've given this advice. I've told the candidate about a prayer and shared it with them. I've asked the candidate, do you know the Alan Shepard prayer? And I've never had one that has said, yes, they do. So I tell them the story. When Alan Shepard was strapped atop a Mercury Redstone rocket, about to become the first American launched into orbit, he had an open mic in his capsule and he prayed. He said, "Dear Lord, please don't let me f this up." And I've always told the candidates that story and said, now's a good time for the Alan Shepard prayer. Good luck. See you on the other side. It's time for Joe Biden and his team to say the Alan Shepard prayer because a great deal is on the line. The only thing that matters is the refutation of the perception and the core of the Trump argument and attack, which is that the president is unfit, a laughingstock, and senile. This is the chance to dispense it, drive a stake through its heart, and demonstrate that it is Donald Trump who is unfit psychologically, morally, ethically, in every conceivable way. He is a harbinger of a third world war. He is the end of peace and prosperity in the United States. Donald Trump is a fascist. Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll, and then he defamed her. Donald Trump went to an American military cemetery, and he wondered in front of his chief of staff, a retired Marine general whose son was killed in combat, why the American soldier did it. Called them suckers and losers. And everybody knows he did it. That's why Donald Trump is talking about it, crying about it, complaining that he was called out on it. And this is where Joe Biden has to hit Donald Trump over and over and over again. There is a scene at the end of one of the great American movies that has ever been made that we have all watched for almost 50 years, Rocky. And there in the 14th round, Rocky is knocked down by Apollo Creed, who can't believe that Balboa gets back up and calls Creed towards him, ready to fight, ready to brawl in the middle of the ring. Apollo Creed hits him, and Rocky takes the punch. But then Rocky counterpunches and breaks Apollo Creed's ribs. That's how Biden has to hit. Hard, fast, and where it counts. In Trump's pride, in his ego. This is a debate that requires confrontation. It's a showdown. And I hope more than anything, somebody has explained that to President Biden. Joe Biden is the better man. There's no question about that. Question in the air is, can the better man still land a punch? Joe Biden's got to lay him out. Mr. President, good luck. Remember, the Alan Shepard prayer worked for the Admiral. It'll work for you. Remember to say it with humility. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.